Alright, what's going on guys, it's Slim here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, I am here to say I told you so on the school identity point. Now, I made videos about this like months ago, a year ago as well, talking about identity just not being there, feeling like it's slipping away, and like just the stuff they're putting into the game just strips away from it even more. Now, I know this is a very controversial topic, and the devs have said themselves they actually don't think players know what their own school identity is, which I think is a little bit bizarre in my opinion, but that is what it is. And yeah, I want to talk about why schools are basically losing their identity. If you guys disagree with any of my points, let me know why in the comments below, and please be respectful as well. We obviously all want the game to be better at the end of the day, guys, but yeah, I think first thing I'm going to go over here is going to be the original identities of every single school within like the book of secrets and stuff like that. So we have Storm, which is essentially the glass cannon school, which is basically like the hardest hitting school, should have the most crit damage pierce, highest damage per pip cards, and just basically shred through everybody in PvP and PvE. Fire is the dot school, so Fire should have all of the best dots in the game, and all the other dots in the game should be inferior to Fire dots, and Fire should also have the most flexible dots. Like if I want to make my heck hound last 5 rounds or 3 rounds, I can choose that. Ice has always been the tank school, so tank school you're thinking like the highest crit block, the highest health, the highest resist. Life is the healing school, so life should be the best with heals and have the best heals in the game. Like fire, you should be able to customize how you want your heal to work. Like, do you want it to last 3 rounds so I get the heal faster, or 5 rounds so I can like leverage that heal to gambit, essentially. In case you guys don't know, gambit means like you would leverage the heal on yourself to do more damage or output more damage until it's gone. Balance has always been the control school, so basically you have to respect what a bounce wizard can do, which is like mana burn, aura pop, bubble, that kind of thing. Everything on the field they can manipulate and stuff like that. Myth is the minion school as well, but we've recently seen minions be banned, I think over the past 2 years, I think now or so, and I'm not really sure if there's any other identities to Myth. I never really played Myth when I was younger. I really just thought the school was lame. Sorry out there to my Myth mains. But I'm pretty sure it's just like the minion school kind of thing, and it's kind of like almost like a jack of all trades, kind of like balance. But then Death we have as like the draining utility kind of school. So we have like Bad Juju, B-Plague, Dark Pact, right? We got, you know, Scarecrow, Wraith. Now, I want to talk about what is actually causing the loss of identity, because it's actually one very simple thing, and I think a lot of players are not educated on this, but this is simply something called Rochambeau and the combat model. Now, the combat model is something KingsIsle uses to, like, kind of balance out the game or, like, justify stats and like damage per pip on the cards in some kind of way. And Rochambeau is basically trying to enforce and standardize everything within a school and have certain schools counter each other, which I don't think is a terrible thing. You could argue in PvP it's like a little dumb. So for example, what Rochambeau is trying to do is they're trying to give, I don't know, schools that counter dots, so Storm and Life, for example, they would get spells like Shift that is on a Myth, which would essentially mean Myth would lose Shift because Myth has nothing to do with countering dots, but Storm and Life do, so Storm and Life would get Shift instead of Myth. And it kind of goes on, so on and so forth, right? If you want to educate yourself more on Rochambeau and the current system and the game, the way the game is going, I do have videos on the channel talking about Rochambeau and breaking it down if you want to learn more about the school's identity within the new times of Wiz. But yeah, it's essentially what the system of Rochambeau is trying to do. And the combat model is just kind of like a thing they use to balance everything. But the combat model has been kind of proven faulty time and time again by PvP players, right? So, for example, Storm is supposed to be at the top of the combat model, but if you simply trade hits with the Storm, like 9 times out of 10, the Storm is going to die before they actually kill the opponent, regardless of having all this power and damage per pip. Also, if you simply like hit through shields as like a Storm against like a balance, the balance actually does more damage through the shield, period, and way more proportionally, which makes absolutely no sense either, because It just literally doesn't make sense. Bounce is a defensive school. Storm's an offensive school. Bounce is not supposed to be good against shields. So this is an issue because last year I talked about every school having the same damage in PvP. And I thought that was a really bad thing because that kind of ruined the feeling of being a school that's like more offensive, like maybe Fire, Myth, or Storm. Like if we go back to the motor meta, I think everybody had the same damage. It was maybe like 10 damage apart, I want to say. Back to Darkmoor, you actually had way more damage. And if you were in Darkmoor, you kind of needed a Storm or a Fire, right? This is something Kaiser Noah talked about in his video. The schools actually had what made them special back then, you know. Storm had its AoEs. Storm actually had, you know, the best offensive stats, right? And they were still very squishy. However, the issue is we kept the squishiness of Storm, but we just gave everybody else their damage and their pierce and called it a day. Which is what indirectly makes Storm so bad in, like, PvP. And now in PvE, it's a bit different because PvE is more about the feeling, right? On a Storm, I am basically at the 240 damage cap. Now, the issue is any school can hit this 240 damage cap pretty easily. So I'm going to log onto my balance here. I actually did this recently when I was questing through Wallaroo. And I actually was able to hit the balance 240 cap, which I thought was really, really stupid. Because, again, balance is not a damage school in Archambault. It's like a jack of all trades. So it should be like down there with like Ice and Life in terms of damage. So yeah, I'm actually on my balance here. And as you can see, he actually has 240, which is actually one more than my Storm with way, way better stats. And the reason he can actually get 240 as opposed to the 239 on Storm is simply because he doesn't have to worry about the accuracy burden that Storm has. Therefore, he can get way more damage. So in PvE with, you know, looking at every school having 240, like Death, you know, Balance, Myth, Storm, Fire. I think even Ice and Life can do it, I think, or get pretty close, like 235 or something. But point is, when every school has the same damage, the feeling isn't there and the integrity isn't there, right? If I'm just viewing a stat page and my friend's got 240 damage and they're not even on a damage school and they never had that before in the prime time of Wiz, it's like, what the hell? Now, I want to talk about some of the positives of this. In general, it should make questing easier as well. And I've also heard the argument that the fact of the matter that people can actually cosplay, which basically means if you're on a defensive school like Bounce, Life, or Ice, you can actually train Stormlord now. And with a new pin system, you can actually become a better Storm or Fire than an actual Storm and Fire can be. We saw this in PvP in the meta months ago until the developers actually fixed it. PvE, this is simply just going to be the better way to go because you can hit the damage cap while having thousands more health. Way more resist as well, right? You can dual school as well because you actually don't have to worry about dying all the time since you have health, resist, and block. Combine this with the fact of the matter that Balance actually gets access to like the most pips in game alongside of Life as well. It's just way easier to not have to worry about pips or accuracy on these schools when you have all the benefits with yet again no drawbacks. So at that point, you just ask yourself, okay, why do I even have a Storm in the first place? And this is the thing, this is the reason why Storm mains have been so upset in like PvP and stuff like that, because every school has just kind of stolen your identity, right? If I'm trading hits with a Balance, they just literally do the same damage as me with more health, and they can hit through shields, and I can't, and they have better cards, and I don't have cards like that. Or you'd think the damage per pip school, which is Storm, it should be the last school to lose its, you know, high damage treasure cards, but it was actually the first one to lose all of its high damage treasure cards, and then other schools that are, again, defensive and not known for damage per pip actually get to keep their broken cards that are way above their damage per pip, regardless of them having way higher stats in-game. I literally called this a year ago. If they put this model into PvE, a lot of players would be upset, and look at that. I mean, Noah literally made a video on it as well. I called it like clockwork, but as usual, I just get labeled as, oh, you're being negative. Liam's just talking shit about the game all the time. But I'm literally speaking facts. I talked about this so long ago, and this is just one of those cases where, you know, I told you so, right? And at the time, everybody always labels me as negative and stuff like that when I'm literally bringing up facts in my videos, right, guys? So, I don't know. It's a little frustrating, and then I make videos like this where I'm a little bit tilted because I've been saying the same thing for a year, and now you guys have to experience it, and you guys are upset, but I called this a year ago when they first put it out in PvP. But, yeah. that's everything I gotta yap about in the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments below, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you for watching, and take care.